Chapter 4208. Haha. Sis, you're so smart. You haven't spoken for 100 years, but when you do, the whole world is shocked. Hearing her sister's words, Little Bean burst into laughter. Gaobuin also watched the show with a smirk on his face. The adults were bewildered. They wondered what had happened to the children. I can say that I'm innocent. I didn't do anything. Wei Yunchu looked innocent. Then Pudding stopped talking and went back to playing on her cell phone. After dinner, Pudding and Little Bean left with Chin Chu. Unwilling to give up, Wei Yunchu ran over and took out a lollipop. Pudding. Oh. Are you still angry? Why should I be angry? Then I'll delete her. Before Pudding could speak, Wei Yunchu took out his cell phone and deleted Tian Tian in front of Pudding. Although Pudding didn't say anything, she felt a little satisfied. The other three kids didn't know, but Pudding knew. A long time ago, Huamin and Chin Chu had talked about Hui Yinyan's orphan. Pudding remembered clearly that her parents didn't have a good impression of that child. The child had just lost her mother, but she could open her mouth and call someone else her mother. Her tolerance was unparalleled. To put it bluntly, she was scheming and cruel. He even changed his name to Shin Mingxi's dad and Wei Ying's mom. This change in attitude wasn't something an ordinary child could do. From then on, Pudding didn't like Tian Tian. After Tian Tian went to study in Jing City, they hadn't contacted each other. God knew why she suddenly added Wei Yunchu on WeChat today, but Wei Yunchu deleted Tian Tian's WeChat in front of Pudding. His attitude was clear. Here you are. Wei Yunchu handed her another lollipop, and Pudding didn't refuse it this time. After thanking him, she left the restaurant with her dad. I thought you didn't like candy? In the car, Little Bean had been drooling. So what if I am? If you don't eat it, it'll be a waste even if you take it back. Our house is so hot the lollipop will melt. That would be a pity. I saw it when Wei Yunchu paid just now. This lollipop costs 128 yuan. Why did he say it was handmade? So? Pudding remained calm. So it's a waste if you don't eat it. Why don't you give it to me? Don't even think about it. Stay away from me. The feeling of being rejected was really uncomfortable. Before she could finish her words, she was rejected by her elder sister. Little Bean complained, Daddy, look at your eldest daughter. She's too domineering and selfish. She won't eat it herself and would rather throw it away than let me eat it. She can't bear to throw it away. Don't worry. Chin Chu looked at his two daughters in the rearview mirror and smiled. At this moment, Pudding's phone rang. She picked up the video call. Oh, handsome Su. Wow, Pudding is so beautiful today. Did you go out? Yeah, I had dinner with Auntie Xiaowei and the others. Oh, good news. Did you see Yunchu? Su Yu's straightforward words made Pudding feel a bit embarrassed. Fortunately, Little Bean snatched the phone away. Stupid handsome Su, why did you send it to her and not me? Aren't you two together every day? It doesn't make a difference who I send it to? Su Yu laughed. It's not the same. Whoever you send it to first means you like her more. But I don't love you anymore. Little Bean pouted. Chapter 4209. Little girl, aren't you afraid of biting your tongue by saying that? How can you live up to your conscience? I've given you a lot of love before. I've never been picky. Handsome Su, you're wrong. We're not together all the time. We're separated when we go to the washroom, Little Bean retorted. Hey, you win. So you didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Handsome Su, have you eaten? Little Bean tilted her head and asked with concern. I'm eating. I worked overtime at the company and had the company meal. Do you have chicken drumsticks? Little Bean was curious. Turkey drumsticks. Do you want some? Ha. Well, turkey tastes terrible. The two little girls chatted with Su Yu in the car. Is winter vacation coming soon? You asked them. Yeah. We have 3 days of classes and then the final exam. Winter vacation will start in about a week. Good. I'll have someone book the tickets. Book the tickets. Little Bean was confused. Disneyland in Tokyo. Do you want to go? Su Yu smirked. Yes. 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 The two girls said in unison. It seemed they had been thinking about it for a long time. I'll book the tickets for a week. We'll fly directly to Tokyo. Su Yu snapped his fingers. Little Bean was thrilled. She stood up excitedly. Can we go to Mount Fuji to see the snow? Yes. Can we go skiing in Hokkaido? Yes. Can we go shopping in Osaka? Yes. Can we go to Nara to see the cute deer? Yes. Wow. Handsome Sue, I love you so much. Little Bean confessed. I've never believed the words of a bootlicker. Pudding, do you love me? Sue looked at the quiet Pudding. I love you. Pudding smiled shyly. Chin Chu was jealous in front of her. What about Daddy? I love Handsome Sue, but I love Daddy more. Little Bean quickly corrected herself. Pudding stood up, wrapped her arms around her father's neck and kissed his handsome face. Damn Chin Zhao Zhao, you're too ruthless. You killed me instantly. Oh no, Comrade Old Chin, I want a bite too. You're so handsome. If I don't kiss you, I'll be at a disadvantage. Little Bean handed the phone to her sister and kissed her dad who was driving. She kissed Chin Chu until his face was covered in saliva. But even though he was a clean freak, he didn't even wipe it off. She just smiled happily. Now the two children were obviously closer to their father. Perhaps it was because of the connection between mother and son. Although they did not know the truth, the two children were no longer close to Huamin. Especially after Pudding's cheek was scratched. Every time Pudding saw her mother, it was as if she saw a demoness. After Huamin was admitted to the hospital, Chin Chu was relieved. He temporarily put her under house arrest in the hospital and couldn't go home to spend time with her children and parents. After Su Yu hung up the video call, he immediately ordered the people in the secretary's office. Book me 3 first-class tickets for a direct flight to Tokyo, the best hotel in Tokyo, the best room and 3 Disneyland tickets. Yes, President Su. After that, Su Yu felt that it was necessary to tell Huamin about such an important matter. So he sent a WeChat message to Huamin. During the day, Su Yu went to the hospital, but there were too many people, so he didn't say much. Later he came back because he had something to do at the company. He looked at the time. It was only 7 a.m. Su Yu, Mion, have you slept? Huamin, no. Su Yu, how are you? Do your ribs still hurt? Huamin, they hurt. Su Yu, have you eaten? Huamin, no. No one brought me food. Su Yu, no way. Didn't Chin Chu bring you food? Huamin, no. Maybe he doesn't want to care about me and wants me to starve. Su Yu, don't talk nonsense. What do you want to eat? I'll buy it and bring it to you. Huamin, Su Yu, don't be so nice to me. I'm afraid I'll fall in love with you. Su Yu, ahem. Stop fooling around. Dr. Hua, my little heart can't take a scare. Huamin, come. Let's have dinner together. I want crystal shrimp dumplings and pumpkin porridge. Su Yu, do you want seafood? Big crab. Huamin, no. I hate crabs and shrimps. They stink. Su Yu, huh? Haven't you always loved seafood? Chapter 42:10. Huamin, my taste has changed. I don't like it anymore. Su Yu, huh? Changed so suddenly. I wasn't prepared for it at all. Su Yu didn't care when Huamin changed the details of her life. Therefore, when he found out that Huamin didn't like seafood, he was very surprised and wasn't prepared for it at all. Huamin, it's not a big deal. What are you prepared for? Are you bringing me food or not? If not, I'm not eating. Su Yu, yes. I'll be right there. Wait for me. After all, Su Yu hadn't lived with Huamin for a long time, so he didn't know the details of Huamin's life. Therefore, he wasn't as observant as Chin Chu. Hearing that Huamin didn't eat, Su Yu immediately went to bring her food. According to Huamin's request, he bought pumpkin porridge, shrimp dumplings, hot milk tea and snacks. In short, Su Yu bought a bunch of food and drove his supercar there. However, he didn't know that Huamin wasn't interested in food at all. What she was interested in was fresh and warm blood. At the first hospital before Su Yu, Jixin came first. After all, Bella and Yang Meirong were both in the hospital. Jixin heard that his sister was also in the hospital, so he naturally came to visit. Bella and their mother's matter couldn't be hidden. Jixin got a bowl of millet and mung bean porridge for his sister and then went into the room. Jixin, why are you here? Huamin pretended to be very affectionate. Brother-in-law didn't tell me. I heard from the nurses that my sister was also in the hospital. I was so worried. Jixin put down the porridge and sat by Huamin's bed. Sis, does it still hurt? Huamin shook her head. It doesn't hurt anymore. Don't worry. Our family has been so unlucky recently. I should ask you to read our fortune later. What's going on? Why is misfortune happening one after another? What's wrong? Huamin was curious. It wasn't just 1 or 2 bad things. After a few seconds of silence, Jixin told her the truth. First, it's my Bella was injured and she's still in a coma. Then Dad disappeared. Mom had a heart attack and fainted. And now it's your turn. Will be my turn in a few days. Don't talk nonsense. After hearing Jixin's words, she didn't seem to care. After all, Jixin's family's was. Jixin, Dad, oh no, Uncle Jing, why did he suddenly disappear? Chink is tt. After all, you tease, when did Uncle Jing go missing? Did he see anyone before he disappeared? Huamin asked Jixin. No, brother-in-law even asked Big Brother Gao ran for help, and the Municipal Public Security Bureau is also involved, but there's still no news. Dad was acting weird when he came back this time. Now that he's gone, the person who suffered the biggest blow is actually Mom. I'm worried for her. It'll all pass. Don't think too much, Huamin comforted him. Jixin nodded. Sis, you haven't eaten yet, right? I bought you some millet porridge. I'll feed you. No, I don't like millet porridge. But, didn't you always tell us that it's best for patients to eat liquid food? The best liquid food is millet and mung beans. It's good for clearing heat and detoxifying. Jixin looked at his sister in confusion. Chapter 42:11. Huamin was about to say something when the door to the ward was pushed open. The two of them looked at the door and saw Suyu walking in with a pile of delicious food. Brother Suyu. Jixin quickly stood up and greeted him. Jixin is here too. Yeah, I'm here to see my sister. Just in time, I bought a lot of dinner. Let's eat together. Suyu was quite happy and felt that it would be lively with more people around. Jixin had taken care of his mother and wife, so he hadn't eaten yet. Seeing Suyu say this, he was about to agree, but Huamin interrupted him. Jixin won't join us. He still has to take care of my mother. Jixin immediately understood what his sister meant. Yeah, brother Suyu, I still have to take care of my mother. You guys eat. Jixin licked his lips awkwardly. He didn't know why his sister would politely ask him to leave. He actually wanted to stay for dinner. Suyu froze for a second. Then he handed Jixin a portion. I bought a lot. You can take one back. Okay, thank you, brother Suyu. Jixin took the food and walked out of the ward. Suyu was busy taking out the delicious food one by one. Huamin, or rather Layla, looked at Suyu from head to toe. In fact, Suyu wasn't inferior to Qin Chu at all. In fact, he was more approachable than Qin Chu. Other than being slightly less good-looking, he was really perfect. Since Qin Chu was ignoring her for the time being, she was really going to start with Suyu. Sleeping with Suyu was one of the reasons. 2 was to sow discord between Suyu and Qin Chu and break them up. Then he would ruin Huamin's reputation and make her have an affair with Suyu. This was the 3rd reason. However, Suyu didn't know what she was thinking. He always thought that Huamin was just in a bad mood and had a small conflict with Qin Chu. The great Dr. Hua, I've bought so many. Which one do you want to eat? Pumpkin porridge. Huamin pointed at the pumpkin porridge. Suyu carefully brought it over and opened the small table that came with Huamin's bed. Suyu, my hand is a little numb. Can you feed me? Huamin spoke in a slightly coquettish tone. This was an expression and attitude that Huamin would never have in the past. Suyu's heart melted as he listened. Although he also wanted to do it, he knew his limits, so he didn't want to do such intimate actions. I don't think that's a good idea. You should eat by yourself. I brought you a spoon. Suyu, do you hate me? Huamin looked wronged. What are you talking about? When did I hate you? Stop it, Dr. Hua. Then why won't you feed me? This is too intimate. Mion, although I know this is nothing and we're just friends, if Qin Chu sees this, even if he doesn't misunderstand, he'll still feel uncomfortable. We have to consider Qin Chu's feelings. But I didn't do it on purpose. Do you think I'm using you to make Qin Chu angry? No, that's not what I meant. Suyu, I'm really not faking it. My ribs hurt. I don't dare to move too much. Qin Chu doesn't care about me, so I thought you would. I didn't expect you to do the same. If that's the case, then I won't eat anymore. You can leave now. After speaking, Huamin turned her face to the side. She was angry. So you could tell that she was really angry. Mion, don't be angry, okay? Suyu didn't know what to do. He didn't know how to comfort people, especially Huamin. Chapter 42:12. That's enough. Go. Seeing how angry Huamin was, Suyu had no choice but to pick up the spoon. Why don't I feed you instead? Don't you think it's too intimate and inconvenient? Huamin glared at him coldly. That's not important. Don't starve yourself. Suyu was very kind and knew how to weigh the pros and cons. Although he knew it wasn't appropriate, Huamin was still a patient. Plus, not eating for a long time wasn't good for the body. Therefore, under pressure from Huamin, Suyu compromised. However, Suyu was very smart. He sent a WeChat message to Qin Chu in advance and reported the situation. He said, "Qin Chu, I'm at the hospital. I'm here to visit Mion and brought her dinner. Do you want to come with me?" Qin Chu only replied with 2 words, "I'm busy." Seeing that Qin Chu was busy, Suyu didn't want to disturb him. Just like that, he fed Huamian little by little. Unexpectedly, this scene was seen by Qin Ning and Tang Chuan, who came to visit Huamin. Qin Ning was the first to enter the room, so she saw everything clearly. She was a little unhappy. "Lord Su is here too," she said. "Oh, you two are back." Suyu put down the spoon awkwardly. Tang Chuan walked in behind Qin Ning. "Oh, Lord Su is here. We have a tacit understanding." "Ah, I'm here to deliver dinner." Suyu scratched his head and laughed. Qin Ning glanced at Huamin unhappily. "Sis-in-law, where's my brother?" Huamin coughed lightly. "Your brother didn't come." "No way. He loves his wife so much." "How could he?" Qin Ning purposely sounded sarcastic. "Everyone, don't just stand there. Let's eat together." Tang Chuan was very friendly. He directly took out all the things Suyu had bought and prepared to have a good time as if the 4 of them were having a meal together. However, Huamin was suddenly not in the mood. "I don't want to eat anymore, I don't have an appetite. You guys can go now, I want to sleep," Huamin said and turned his face away. This made Tang Chuan feel awkward. Then the 3 of them walked out of the hospital. "Lord Su, although there are some things that I shouldn't say and you might be unhappy if I say them, but I'm a member of the Qin family. I have to think for my brother. We all know that you like my sister-in-law, but she's my brother's wife. Can't you avoid arousing suspicion?" Qin Ning's pent-up anger exploded at Suyu. Suyu didn't say anything. Tang Chuan was a little embarrassed and pulled on Qin Ning's sleeve. "Ahem. Ning, what are you talking about? Lord Su isn't that kind of person." "Shut up. I know you're Lord Su's buddy, so of course you'll speak for him. I'm telling the truth. You know what I saw when I walked in, Lord Su. I won't tell my brother about this, but please be careful. Don't do it again. No matter how good a friend is, there's no need to be so close." "You're right. I'll be careful." Suyu wasn't upset by Qin Ning's scolding. Instead, he thought she was right and there was nothing wrong with it. Suyu was actually in a difficult position. He didn't want to do this in the first place, but Huamin forced him to do it. He didn't want to see Huamin starve, so he sent a WeChat message to Qin Chu. However, he didn't expect that Qin Ning and Tang Chuan would come in and see it. It was as if they caught him in the act, and Suyu felt very embarrassed. "Lord Su, let's go and have a drink together?" Tang Chuan quickly tried to smooth things over. "I'm not going. I still have things to do. You two go do what you need to do. Let's talk later." Suyu then got into his sports car and left the hospital. Tang Chuan looked at Qin Ning. "Baby, what you said to Lord Su just now, wasn't it a little too harsh?" Chapter 42:13. Qin Ning's face darkened. "Hard. I think I've already given Suyu enough face because of you. If it was before, I would have slapped him on the face. Do you believe me?" Seeing Qin Ning's reaction, Tang Chuan said weakly, "Baby, what did you see? Suyu is feeding my sister-in-law spoonful by spoonful." Tang Chuan, really? Tang Chuan couldn't believe it. "My whole family will die if I lie to you." Perhaps it was because Qin Ning was starting to get angry, so her words were especially harsh. Tang Chuan quickly covered her mouth. "What are you doing? Your whole family doesn't include me." "Pa, idiot. I'm so angry that I'm confused. Tell me what's going on. What are you doing behind my brother's back?" The more Qin Ning thought about it, the more uncomfortable she felt. "Yeah, now that you mention it, it's a bit. Lord Su has been acting weird recently. Ever since they came back from Yunnan, they've been acting weird. When I have time, I'll have a drink with Lord Su and we'll talk about what happened today." "Ning, don't tell my brother-in-law yet. Isn't that obvious? Can I tell him? If I tell him, won't my brother be heartbroken?" Qin Ning glared at Tang Chuan. Yes. With your brother-in-law's personality, he doesn't talk much. If you tell him, he'll only feel aggrieved. But, as far as I know, whether it's Lord Su or our sister-in-law, they're not dirty people. How could they do such a thing?" Tang Chuan still found it unbelievable. "Then how can I be seeing things?" When our sister-in-law came back this time, the whole family gave in to her because she didn't have a child. But she doesn't seem to know the difficulties of the whole family. Instead, she's getting worse. I heard from Little Bean that she even injected pudding that day. When she's discharged from the hospital, I'll have a good talk with her. What's wrong with her? Did someone cast a spell on her? Qin Ming's personality had always been fierce and she would never swallow her pride. Therefore, today's incident had planted a seed of uncertainty in her heart. The dinner was ruined by Qin Ning and Tang Chuan, ruining the atmosphere. Huamin was furious. She then sent a WeChat message to Suyu. What are you doing? After a long time, Suyu did not reply. Then she made another call. After a long while, Suyu finally picked up. Why didn't you reply to my WeChat message? Huamin was rather displeased. I'm in the sports car. I just got off, so I didn't hear you. What's wrong? Mion? Suyu's expression was still pleasant. What did Qin Ning say to you? Oh no. That's impossible. With that girl's personality, she definitely won't stay put. I really didn't. Don't think too much. Have a good rest. If you're hungry, ask the nurse to heat up some delicious food for you. Suyu, are you taking Pudding and Little Bean to Tokyo? Suddenly he remembered this. Yeah. Didn't I promise them a long time ago? I can't go back on my word. Suyu smiled. I want to go with you. Suyu was dumbfounded again. Take me with you. I want to go to Tokyo too, Huamin stated forcefully. But, Suyu was confused. It was fine if he took the kids with him, but if he took Huamin with him? Then he and Huamin's kids would be a family of 4. Where would Qin Chu fit in? Mion, you can't do that. Mr. Qin will go crazy if he finds out. Suyu wanted to refuse in a joking manner. Qin Chu won't care. Besides, with the kids around, what can happen between us? Huamin asked back. Chapter 42:14. Hearing Huamin's words, Suyu was in a difficult position. Mion, although you're right, it's really not good to do this. Didn't you see Ning Ning's face turn green just now? I don't care what others think. I just want to ask you, Suyu, will you take me with you? Mion, are you really not joking with me? Do I look like I'm joking? Suyu, I just want to go to Tokyo. Mion, it's really inconvenient. Although Suyu liked the feeling of being alone with Huamin, he knew that it wasn't right. He would always have Qin Chu between them and he would never build his happiness on Qin Chu's pain. It's fine if it's inconvenient. Huamian didn't seem happy. She just said forget it and didn't say anything else. Don't be angry, huh? Why don't I talk to Qin Chu and ask him to come with us? Although he felt that it would be strange for a bachelor like him to go out with a family of 4. However, if Qin Chu went, Huamin would be more convincing. Unfortunately, Huamin didn't reply. Suyu knew that Huamin was probably angry. Huamian was bored in the hospital room. In fact, her body had recovered a long time ago. That little injury was nothing to her. However, in order to pretend to be weak, she pretended to continue staying in the hospital. The most important thing was that she could attack the people in the hospital from time to time. She also didn't know how to restrain herself. Losing a child in the hospital made everyone panic. Therefore, many adults didn't dare to bring children to the hospital. The children in the pediatrics department were also guarded by their parents. However, this didn't affect Layla's actions. She wasn't Huamin, so she didn't care about Yang Mirong and Bella. She just wanted to fill her stomach. After another round of capture, she licked her blood-stained lips in satisfaction and returned to her room. She didn't expect that a guest would arrive right after she walked in. Sister Mion, you can walk now? Surprised, she knocked on the door and pushed it open. Then she saw Huamin walking freely on the floor. But didn't everyone say that she was in a serious car accident with several broken ribs? She thought her eyes were playing tricks on her. You've come? Huamin smiled slightly, but it wasn't a warm smile. Instead, it seemed a little distant. She didn't know if it was her illusion, but she had a feeling that Sister Mion didn't like her and even seemed to reject her. I've wanted to visit you for a long time, but there have been a lot of people these days. I was afraid to disturb your rest, so I didn't come. She placed the lilies and fruits she bought for Huamin on the table. Oh, thanks for coming to see me. Huamin was absent-minded. He didn't look at her but looked down at his cell phone. Han Yueyao was embarrassed. Sister Mion, can walk on your own? She remembered how fast Huamin walked. Yeah. I'm recovering well. Except for the pain in my ribs, I can walk on my own, Huamin explained. That's good. I'm relieved to see you're well. Did President Su come? You mean Su Yu? Yes. Yes, he came to bring me dinner in the evening. He must be worried sick. Han Yueyao knew how important Huamin was to Su Yu. How was it? Did you confess to Su Yu? Seeing the girl's fangirl look, Huamin or Layla knew she liked Su Yu. Chapter 42:15. Hearing Huamin's blunt question, Han Yueyao blushed slightly. I did, but President Su's attitude. Lowering her head, Han Yueyao stuttered and explained shyly. Huamin said, he rejected you, didn't he? He didn't explicitly reject me. Han Yueyao didn't think it was a direct rejection. Huamin smiled. For some reason, Han Yueyao thought there was a hint of sarcasm in his smile. He didn't want to hurt your self-esteem, so he didn't make it too clear. Han Yueyao pursed her lips and didn't speak, but she felt bad. Su Yu has someone in his heart. Yao, you should focus on someone else. Don't waste time and hurt yourself. Huamin's meaning was obvious. He wanted Han Yueyao to stop liking Su Yu. She was afraid it wouldn't work out. But, in the past, Huamin knew she liked Su Yu, but he still encouraged her. Why did his attitude change so much? Sister Mion, I haven't liked a man in all these years. Su Yu is the first person I've liked in my life. I don't want to give up so easily. But he doesn't like you. Huamin's words were blunt and hurtful. He likes you, but you don't like him, right? But he still likes you. Unconvinced, Han Yueyao began to use this relationship as an analogy. Huamin was obviously unhappy. I'm different from you. We've known each other for years. Su Yu and I have gone through life and death situations together. You're his superior and subordinate. And you're obviously not a match for him. But Auntie Su said she doesn't care if we're of equal social status. Han Yueyao explained. Auntie Su is in a hurry to find a wife for Su Yu. As long as it's a girl, it'll be fine. Mom is just impatient. Don't take it seriously. Anyway, Yao Yao, you're famous now. Just focus on being a star. Don't dream about getting something that doesn't belong to you. Look at what happened to Jian Tong, Nielingxian and Zhao Qingya. You don't want to be the next one, do you? Huamin's eyes were a little gloomy. Han Yueyao felt chills all over her body. Sister Mian, Yao Yao, I'm a little tired, you go back first. If there's nothing, don't come over, I'm going to be discharged soon. It was obvious that they had ordered him to leave. Hey, I'll go now. Sister Mian, have a good rest. Yes. She left with a heavy heart. Huamin sneered from the hospital bed. Bitch who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. An idiot wants to chase after Su Yu. Isn't it all because of money and power? The Lord is right. The exaggerated men and women in this world, the so-called love and affection, are just each taking what they need. It's disgusting. In the Shin family's house. Shin Mingxi hadn't come back yet. Wei Ying sat on the sofa with Tian Tian and watched a variety show. Tian Tian picked up a sugar orange, peeled the skin and brought it to Wei Ying's mouth. Mommy, Wei Ying, have one. It's very sweet. Hey. Thank you, baby. Wei Ying really liked this kid after 2 days of being with her. After she came back from school in the capital, she was obviously more sensible and sweet-tongued than before. He kept calling her Mommy Wei Ying. As the saying went, you don't hit a smiling person. Since she tried so hard to please Wei Ying had no reason not to like her. Mommy Wei Ying, when will Dad come back? I miss him. Chapter 42:16. Wei Ying glanced down at her watch. He should be back soon. I sent him a WeChat message and he said he's off the highway and will be back in less than 20 minutes. That's great. Tian Tian smiled and rolled her eyes. Mom, Wei Ying is Yunchu good friends with Auntie Huamin's 2 sisters? Wei Ying nodded. Yeah. They're childhood sweethearts and play together almost every week. They're very close. Yunchu likes pudding very much. Then, does pudding like Yunchu? He likes him. They're good friends anyway. Hee. I'm so happy for Yunchu. I added him on WeChat today since he's Uncle Wei Liao's son. But for some reason he deleted me. Tian Tian looked aggrieved. He doesn't know it's you, right? He knows. I told him. But, maybe he doesn't like me. Tian Tian looked aggrieved. How could that be? That kid and I have the best relationship. You won't dislike my child. It's okay. Mom, Wei Ying, I didn't think too much about it. I just thought I'd find someone to hang out with after the holidays. Yunchu is my relative and I want to be close to him. It doesn't matter if he doesn't like me. The more Tian tried to sound innocent, the more uncomfortable Wei Ying felt. She felt that the child had been wronged. She picked up her cell phone and video called her nephew Wei Yunchu. Wei Yunchu, Auntie, what's up? Wei Ying, what are you talking about? Can't I video call you? Wei Yunchu, of course not. Wei Ying, big nephew, what are you doing? Wei Yunchu, I just finished dinner. I'm watching a football game. Wei Ying, you're like an adult today. Can you understand football games? Wei Yunchu, Auntie, you video called me for something, right? Wei Ying, yeah. Come on, nephew. Let me introduce you to my Tian. Wei Ying pulled Tian before the cell phone camera. Tian was quite pretty. In the evening she wore sky blue loungewear and had long hair. She was quite cute among the little girls. Wei Yunchu, however, looked wooden. Hi Yunchu, Tian greeted her shyly. Wei Ying, Yunchu, this is Auntie's daughter. Who's older? I remember you're a month older than Tian, so you can call her Tian. Wei Yunchu, Auntie, when did you have such a big child? When did you give birth? Why didn't I know? Wei Ying was embarrassed by Wei Yunchu's words. Wei Ying, don't talk nonsense. She's not my biological daughter, but she's your uncle's daughter. Wei Yunchu, really? Is she uncle's daughter? I don't remember uncle having a child with another woman. Is she an illegitimate daughter? Wei Ying, Tian's face turned ugly in an instant. Wei Ying, no, don't make wild guesses. I'll explain when I have time. Anyway, get along with your sister. She usually goes to school in the capital and doesn't have many friends here. Wei Yunchu, Auntie, it's time for me to revise my English. Talk to you later. Before Wei Ying could reply, Wei Yunchu hung up the phone. Wei Ying, hey you, Tianun, Mom. Wei Ying, it's okay. I heard Yunchu is cold and has few friends. I'll get along with him slowly. Touched, Wei Ying rubbed Tian's head. Good girl. I know you're a good girl. At this moment they heard the door open. Chapter 42:17. Shin Mingxi finally came back from his business trip. Tian ran over and hugged Shin Mingxi's thigh like she used to do when she was little. Dad. Tian didn't know when she started calling Shin Mingxi Dad instead of Uncle Shin. Shin Mingxi rubbed her head. You seem to have grown taller. Yeah. Dad, you have to buy me a lot of new clothes. I can't wear my old ones anymore. Tian took the opportunity to act cute. Yes. But I have all my money with your mom. You have to ask her for everything. Shin Mingxi smiled and looked at Wei Ying, who was not far away, his eyes full of love. After remarrying her, he wanted to show his sincerity and make the Wei family believe him. Shin Mingxi had transferred all his assets to Wei Ying's name. Even his company was Wei Ying's major shareholder. No one in the Shin family objected. The Wei family thought it was a win-win situation. Shin Mingxi only took his credit card with him when he went out. His money was indeed with Wei Ying. Mom, Wei Ying has bought me a lot of good things. I can't let her spend more money. Really? What did you buy? Shin Mingxi took off his jacket and walked into the room. Tian tried her best to please Shin Mingxi and Wei Ying. Outsiders who didn't know would think that it was a happy family. Tian had never mentioned anything about her mother, Hui Yanyan. She had never asked about her mother. She threw away everything about Hui Yanyan in the house, not even a photo. 10 p.m. Tian went back to her room to rest while the couple went to the master bedroom. Shin Mingxi had been on a business trip for a few days and hadn't seen Wei Ying for a long time. The moment he entered the room, he couldn't wait to hug Wei Ying from behind. What are you doing? Doing something lovey-dovey. Young Master Shin, who was usually taciturn, could be so flirtatious. After a round of lovemaking, Wei Ying lay in Shin Mingxi's arms happily. Ying, don't spoil Tian too much. You can't buy her whatever she wants. I saw you spend a lot of money these days. It's rare for a child to like it. No matter how much I like her, she's just a child. Don't raise her too materialistic. Although we can afford to raise her, I don't want her to grow up to be a materialistic woman who flaunts her wealth. I don't think so. I think Tian is quite sensible. Wei Ying thought Shin Mingxi was exaggerating. Shin Mingxi used to worry that Wei Ying wouldn't accept his kindness to Tian. But now it seemed that Wei Ying treated the kids better, which made Shin Mingxi worry. It was the complete opposite. Just keep an eye on her. Don't educate her into. Shin Mingxi was about to say that Wei Ying shouldn't educate her to be like Hui Yanyan, but he didn't want to say Hui Yanyan in front of Wei Ying, so he didn't say it. Then he turned around and hugged Wei Ying tightly in his arms. 11:30 at night, after seeing the twins fall asleep, Qin Chu went to the study. Pudding and Little Bean didn't fall asleep. It seemed that they were pretending to be asleep to deceive their daddy. Elder sister. You didn't fall asleep either. Yeah, Pudding murmured. What are you thinking about? What about you? Pudding tilted her head and looked at Little Bean in the dark. Our family has been strange lately. Mommy used to put us to sleep while Daddy was busy with work. Now Daddy is busy with work and has to put us to sleep. Yeah. Pudding sighed slightly. Mommy is in the hospital but Daddy isn't with her. Yeah. Sis, will they divorce? I'm so scared, Little Bean said in a small voice. Chapter 42:18. I don't think so. Daddy said he wouldn't divorce Mommy. Pudding thought about her daddy's feelings for her mommy. But sis, don't lie to yourself. You and I can see that Daddy and Mommy are in serious trouble. Their relationship is cold. It's even worse than Mommy and Handsome Sue. I don't know what happened. It's scary. I feel like a storm is coming. It's not that serious. Don't think too much. Pudding comforted her sister, but she wasn't sure either. Sis, I want to hold your hand. This might be a sign of Pudding's insecurity. Pudding turned over and reached out her chubby little hand. In the dark, she held her sister's hand tightly. Sis, to be honest, if Daddy and Mommy divorced, who would you choose to be with? Pudding's heart sank. She had never thought about this question because she never thought that Daddy and Mommy would divorce. It probably won't come to that. Don't worry, it won't. I'm just making an example. Tell me, I want to know the answer, Pudding asked relentlessly. Based on the current situation, I might choose Daddy. Pudding couldn't describe how she felt, but she really couldn't get close to her mommy now. Especially after she slapped her that day and scratched her face with her nails. That wasn't serious. What was serious was that Huimin didn't even ask if the child was still in pain. Would it leave a scar? These actions made Pudding's heart sink. What about you, Pudding? Who would you choose? Pudding seemed to be starting to feel uneasy and asked her sister the same question. I'll choose whoever sis chooses. I don't want to be like those TV shows where two kids, one for each father and one for each mother, are separated from each other. When they meet again, it'll be years later. I love you very much and don't want to be separated from you. Although we have arguments and even business conflicts, and I'm sometimes jealous of you for having good things, these are all small things in life. No matter what, I love you deeply and don't want to be separated from you. Then Pudding held Pudding's hand tightly. Pudding felt sorry for her sister and touched her face. Pudding, don't be afraid. I promise you that I'll never be separated from you no matter what happens. Yes. This was the first time the two sisters had such a sad conversation. If Qin Chu as their father heard this, he would definitely be distressed and burst into tears. At this very moment he was in his study. Talking to Gao Ran on the phone. When did it happen? Just an hour ago. Such a big living person is gone just like that. Qin Chu frowned. Yes. Previously it was children who went missing. Now it's adults. Everyone in the first hospital is in a state of panic. Gao Ran felt like his head was about to explode. He kept disappearing without a corpse, which made him very angry. Even the police dogs can't smell it. Qin Chu believed that those missing people must have been tortured to death, just like Jingda had done before. But since there was a corpse, the police dog's keen sense of smell would not leave empty-handed. I brought a police dog but found nothing. Then something must have covered up the smell and affected the police dog's judgment. Chu, this is getting weirder and weirder. I have a feeling that there's a psychopathic murderer in our city, no, in the first hospital. It might even be a monster like an ogre or a vampire. Why don't you think of a way to transfer Bella, your mother-in-law, and Huimin to Southside? It's too dangerous there. After Gao Ran said this, Qin Chu was speechless for a long time. How could he tell him that Huimin was the monster? Chapter 42:19. On the other side of the earth. In the underwater palace. There was no watch, calendar, or concept of time. Huimin couldn't remember how long he had been under house arrest here. He had only seen Linya a few times. However, he was much more familiar with Messiah. The more he interacted with her, the more he felt that Messiah was a good servant. At least she didn't have poker faces like the others, who were expressionless like robots. Ever since he found out that Lu Yen and he weren't born from the same father and mother, Huamin had been shocked for a long time. He wasn't shocked by the closeness between him and Lu Yen, but by the fact that Lu Yen was the child of Lin Ye's clone. Strictly speaking, she was the child of a human and a clone. His father probably didn't even know that Lin Ye was a clone, right? But how did Lin Ye manage to deceive his highly intelligent father? Huamin had many questions. At the same time, he was more worried that Layla would do whatever she wanted in her home and hurt her family. Miss Mion, the master invites you to dinner. Messiah walked in and brought Huamin a tasseled cloak. Everything here was extremely beautiful. The cloak looked as if it was made of golden thread and it was shining brightly. It was exceptionally comfortable and smooth when draped over her body. Huamin didn't say anything and obediently followed behind Messiah towards Lin Ye's room. When she entered, she froze for a moment. Because she saw that Lin Ye wasn't wearing a queen's outfit or a crystal mask. She no longer looked like a high and mighty queen. At this moment she was only wearing a coffee-colored dress and black high heels. Her hair was curled into waves and she was as elegant, graceful and intellectual as everyone's mother. At this moment she was sitting at the dining table making dumplings. There was flour and dumpling fillings on the table. Mion, come in. Lin Ye smiled at Huamin. Huamin walked over warily, looked at the things on the table and then looked at Lin Ye. What are you doing? I heard from Messiah that your appetite hasn't been very good recently. You said that you wanted to eat dumplings, right? Some of them have never seen dumplings in their lives, so I won't make things difficult for them. I'll make it for you. Your father also likes to eat dumplings with celery and pork fillings. When we were in China, we lived in Jiangnan for a period of time. During that time we ate dumplings almost every day. Later we got tired of them, and stopped. Lin Ye smiled as she recalled the past. Just like an ordinary mother, there was no sense of distance between them. Huamin indeed felt that Lin Ye was more approachable than before. Huamin didn't say anything. He sat down opposite Lin Ye with his big belly. Then without batting an eyelid he wrapped it up as well. Or rather he helped. Your pregnancy, you need to eat something good. The baby will be healthy. Lin Ye smiled. When are you going to let me go? Huamin asked her. Isn't it good to be here? Isn't it good to be with Mom? Why do you have to leave? I miss my home, my husband and my daughter. They have someone to take care of them. You don't have to worry. Are you talking about that perverted Layla? Layla didn't hurt them. She's just shamelessly replacing me, isn't she? Madam Lin Ye, have you been playing this kind of cloning game all these years? Huamin's words made Lin Ye's expression freeze, and her smile gradually disappeared. She put down a dumpling in her hand and picked up a wet towel to wipe her hands. Mion, do you know who you're talking to? Chapter 42:20. Of course I know. The person in front of me is the real person, not a clone. Huamin sneered. It was also a bit of sarcasm. Miss Mion, Messiah couldn't stand it anymore and wanted to stop Huamin from angering Lin Ye. However, Lin Ye scolded her. Messiah, go out first. I have something to say to her alone. Yes, master. After Messiah left, Lin Ye had no intention of continuing to make dumplings. She stood up. Tell me, Lin Ye, what do you want? All these years you've been alive. You've been a queen here, but you refused to look for Dad or me. Now that you suddenly think of us, what do you want? What's your purpose? Mion, let's not talk about this today. Mommy wants to ask you a question. Answer seriously. Huamin remained silent. Mion, how have you been all these years? Very good, very happy. Really? What if every time someone close to you dies? What do you mean? Sensing that something was wrong with Lin Ye's words, Huamin widened his eyes and questioned. Let me put it simply. The last time you had an explosion at a gas station, so many people died. One of them was your friend Huasiqian. Is that right? After Lin Ye finished speaking, she glanced at Huamin expressionlessly. Huamin didn't say anything. As far as I know, that kid has been good to you all these years. He detonated a bomb for you and died. Are you sad? At the mention of this, Huamin's heart ached. Even if Huasiqian was a bad guy and had done so many bad things, he had never hurt Huamin. He even used Jack's personality to deceive Layla and saved her at the last moment. She suddenly remembered that they were hiding in a small mountain village on that quiet night. Huasiqian acted coquettishly with her, acted cute with her, bickered with Suyu and everything. It felt like it happened yesterday, but Huamin knew. Huasiqian was already dead. He had detonated the bomb at such a close distance. There was no way he could have survived. She didn't know why Linya mentioned Huasiqian at this time. But she was really sad. Not talking? You're sad, aren't you? Linya looked at the silent Huamian. Yes, it's very sad, but so what? What are you trying to say? Huamin raised his hand, wiped away the tears that were about to fall and looked at Linya. Mian, do you want to revive him? Resurrection? Are you crazy? He's already dead. How can he be resurrected? Do you really think you're a god? Huamin sounded like she was going crazy. She felt that what Linya had told her could not be realized. Linya simply smiled at Huamin's loss of control. Linya turned around and waved her hand. A clear image appeared on the screen. In the image, a man lay in a crystal coffin. As the camera zoomed in, the man's face grew larger and larger. Finally, it was displayed clearly in front of them. No, impossible, this is absolutely impossible. He was blown to pieces. Huamin saw the face in the crystal coffin. It was Huasiqian's face. It was exactly the same. She couldn't accept it. That was already an incomplete corpse. How could he lie in the coffin unscathed? Suddenly, an idea flashed through Huamian's mind as she thought of an important clue. She looked at Linya in horror. Another clone. Chapter 42-21. In Sea City. Huamin was used to Qinchu's indifference, so she had been causing trouble for Suyu recently. People kept disappearing in the hospital, making everyone panic. Huamin didn't stay put. Instead, she took a stroll around the hospital bed. When she saw someone she knew, she was called the vice director and acted all high and mighty. When she returned to her room in the afternoon, she saw Qinchu sitting on the edge of her bed. Honey, when did you get here? She had to put on an act to the fullest. She still sweetly called him hubby. Where did you go? I walked around to get some fresh air. The doctor said you're almost healed. Yeah. Huamin smiled. You're healing really fast. It hasn't been that long. Qinchu stared into her eyes and said meaningfully. Isn't that normal? I studied medicine, so I have some common sense. Of course, I know how to take care of myself. I'm a little better than normal people. It's nothing. She gave a lousy excuse to fool Qinchu, but Qinchu wasn't in a hurry to expose her. I heard that there have been a lot of incidents in the hospital recently. Really? What happened? How come I don't know about it? Huamin pretended not to know. A lot of people have gone missing. I don't know if they were killed or kidnapped. Huamin pretended not to believe him. Really? That's so scary. So scary. Is there a perverted killer lying in ambush here? Shouldn't you know about this better than anyone else? Qinchu looked at her and said word by word. After he finished speaking, Huamin's expression became unnatural. She didn't understand what Qinchu meant. How much did Qinchu know? Therefore, she could only continue to pretend not to know. Honey, are you confused? I'm not a cop. How would I know about this? Huamin retorted. Qinchu slowly got up and walked towards Huamin. She didn't move, but she was very alert. She was afraid that Qinchu would suddenly attack, but she believed that even if it was a sneak attack, Qinchu would not be her opponent. However, Qinchu didn't do that. He just switched to a caring look. The nurses here are the most gossipy. They must have told you these things when they were changing your bandages. I'm afraid you'll be even more scared if they exaggerate things. I won't. I'm very brave. You know that. Well, if it's convenient for you to walk, follow me to the south side. Why are you going to south side? Huamin was surprised. Cece is having a cesarean section this afternoon. She wants you to help her deliver the baby. After all, you're an excellent gynecologist. Layla did not know how to perform surgeries, especially cesarean sections. She had never come into contact with them before. Huamin had a lot of experience. Therefore, she was at a loss. What's wrong? You don't want to? No. It's just that my body is in such a state. I'm afraid I'll make a mistake. After all, I'm not in good shape recently. You know that. Huamin continued to find excuses. But you've done so many surgeries like this. You're very experienced. You can even use 20% of your skills. Cece trusts you so much that Rick called me and I agreed to do it. Obviously, Qinchu wanted her to go. Honey, There are many excellent gynecologists at the south side. It's really not convenient for me right now. It seemed that Huamin didn't want to go and continued to find excuses for herself. Chapter 42:22. In fact, if she forced herself to do the operation, she could complete the operation with all the memories she had of Huamin. However, it was too risky. If there were too many loopholes and those people saw through it, wouldn't the loss outweigh the gain? She hadn't achieved her goal yet. If she was seen through too early and screwed up, she was afraid that her master would be unhappy. Therefore, after considering many factors, Huamin, or rather Layla, she refused. She was terrified. Indeed, she didn't know how to do the operation. The medical genius was Huamin, not her. Hearing her words, Qin Chu finally nodded. Okay then. I won't make it difficult for you. I'll explain it to Rick later. Honey, talk to Rick. It's not that I don't want to help Cece. I got it. After saying these 4 words, Qin Chu turned and left without saying goodbye. It seemed that he was angry. After Qin Chu left, Huamin became even angrier. He picked up the pillow on the bed and threw it to the ground. Damn it. Why do I have to listen to your attitude? I thought Huamin was living a happy life. How is this happiness? He's a cold and expressionless man. I don't know why that idiot chose to marry such a man. He's not as gentle as Suyu. Layla's temper rose and she was very dissatisfied with Qin Chu. Of course, she didn't know that Qin Chu didn't treat Huamin like this. He treated her like this because he saw through her. However, she didn't realize it yet. After all, Qin Chu had always been very shrewd and had always pretended to be very beautiful. Qin Chu had already paid attention to the case at the first hospital. It seemed that from now on she had to choose a place far away to commit crimes. Otherwise she might be targeted. Layla revealed a bloodthirsty smile. It was a creepy smile. Southside Obstetrics and Gynecology Department. Cece's home was close to Southside. Moreover, the first hospital hadn't been very peaceful recently. There were always scary news about missing children. Therefore, her parents all recommended their daughter to give birth at Southside. Rick didn't have any opinions. It was all up to Cece. Cece's parents were quite superstitious. They even asked someone to check the time and picked an excellent surgeon to perform the operation on Cece. When Qin Chu drove over, Cece's family was waiting outside. Nia Lingxian, whom he hadn't seen for a long time, was also back. After Qin Chu arrived, he nodded and greeted everyone. Then he and Rick went to the other side of the corridor. Are you nervous, brother? Qin Chu asked Rick. Yeah, I'm nervous. How do you feel? It's hard to describe. It's like you're about to do a big deal and you're afraid of being investigated by the police, Rick said. Qin Chu was speechless. Qin Chu didn't know whether to laugh or cry, but it was really difficult for this underworld boss. The godfather of the mafia, the youngest godfather of the mafia in the history of the United States of America, was a man with facial paralysis. When he spoke to others, his words were priceless. However, when he spoke to Qin Chu, he was a chatterbox. In fact, neither Rick nor Cece asked Huamin to be the chief surgeon. After all, they knew that Huamin was injured and that they were recovering. There was only one reason why Qin Chu said that. He continued to test. Although he had confirmed that she was an imposter of Huamin, he wanted to see how much preparation she had done. Could it be that Huamin was best at medicine? For some reason, perhaps because of the tacit understanding between husband and wife, Qin Chu felt that this imposter didn't know medicine. Because ever since she came back, she rarely came to Southside. As expected, he guessed right. This was the imposter's shortcoming. She actually didn't know any medicine, but she continued to pretend to be Huamin. This made Qin Chu feel even more disgusted. Chapter 42:23. Chu, what are you thinking about? I'm thinking about my child. Qin Chu lowered his head. Rick's expression changed slightly and he patted Qin Chu's shoulder. He handed him a coffee-flavored cigarette. Qin Chu took it calmly. Brother, don't think too much. It's all in the past. You'll have more children. You're still young. No, I'm not sad. It's all in the past. Rick thought that Qin Chu was sad about Huamin's induced labor. However, only Qin Chu himself knew where his Mian and child were. Why did they investigate for so long and even target the people in Yunnan who were bribed by this fake? However, no one knew where Huamin went. No one knew. Perhaps only the fake knew the truth. But now was not the time to shed all pretense of cordiality. More than an hour later, the door to the operating theater opened. A nurse walked out with a baby in her arms. "Who's the father?" "I am." Rick walked over excitedly. "Congratulations, it's a girl. She weighs 6 pounds and 8 ounces. "Thank you." Rick took the baby from the nurse's arms. The moment Rick saw the child, his heart melted. She was so small, and although she was wrinkled, she didn't look good. However, Rick felt that his little princess was the most beautiful in the world. Cece's parents and sister also surrounded them. Seeing this touching scene, Chin-Chu's heart was filled with mixed feelings. If he remembered correctly, Cece's due date was a few days later than Mion's. But Cece had already given birth. He wondered if Mion's child was doing well. Where was it? Would Mion be afraid and sad without him by her side when she gave birth? Chin-Chu watched everything silently from a corner. Rick held the child lovingly. Cece's mother said 3 times, "Let me see." He refused to let go like a tyrant. "Rick." Xian reminded him loudly. He finally regained his senses. "Give the baby to us. We'll take him to the shower to clean up the baby's blood. Wait here for Cece to come out. She'll definitely want to see you." "Oh, okay." Hearing Xuan's words, Rick reluctantly released the child. Then he carefully handed it to his mother-in-law, Cece's mother. Cece's parents and elder sister were also very careful the whole time as they carried the child away. Chin-Chu and Rick continued to wait at the door for about 15 minutes. Cece was wheeled out of the operating room. Her face was a little sallow and her hair was a little messy. There were tears in her eyes. Rick hurried forward, bent down and kissed Cece's forehead. "Cece, thank you for your hard work. Our daughter is very beautiful. We are a family of 3. Yes. Cece nodded as tears flowed uncontrollably. "Why are you crying? Does it hurt?" Rick panicked. Cece shook her head. "Are you feeling unwell?" Cece continued to shake her head. At this moment, the chief surgeon couldn't stand it anymore and explained, "Don't worry too much." Many first-time mothers have complicated emotions. They will be moved to tears. "Congratulations, the baby is very healthy and the operation is very successful. Now, take good care of your wife." "Thank you, doctor." After Rick thanked the doctor, he and Chin-Chu wheeled Cece back to the ward. Chin-Chu had something to do halfway, so he left after receiving a call. Rick sat by the bedside and carefully wiped Cece's face and hands with a hot towel. "I'm a mother." Chapter 42-24. "Yeah, I'm a father now," Rick said. Cece then smiled sweetly. "Where's the baby? Why isn't she back yet?" "Don't worry. There are 3 adults watching over the baby. Your parents and sister are all there. They said they're going to clean the sticky stuff off the baby and they'll bring her back soon." "I'm not worried. My parents are so happy. Speaking of which, our daughter is so dirty. When the doctor asked me to look at her and kiss her, I didn't like her." Recalling the situation in the operating room, Cece smiled. "What kind of mother are you? She's only here for the first day and you already dislike her? She's so dirty. Oh honey, I think she looks like a little monkey. Do you think she'll grow up to be a monkey? Oh my god. I can't imagine it." Cece whispered. "Rick, she looks like a hairy monkey with a lot of hair on her ears. What should I do? Will she be like this in the future? How can she get married?" "Rick, okay, don't talk nonsense. The baby won't be happy if she hears it when she comes back," Rick said with a straight face. She's so young. Can she understand our language as soon as she's born? Aren't you too pretentious as a father?" Cece thought Rick's reaction was super funny and cute. "Does it hurt?" Rick held Cece's hand tightly. Men could never give birth to children for women, so they didn't know the pain of childbirth. A doctor once compared the pain of natural childbirth to 12 broken ribs at the same time. Most people couldn't bear it. Especially now that the standard of living was high, everyone was eating and drinking well and children were growing up. It was easily more than 8 kilograms. It was not easy to give birth to such a big child naturally. Therefore, more and more young mothers chose to perform a C-section. Although it saved them the pain of labor, a C-section was still a way to kill the goose that laid the golden eggs. It would still hurt them greatly and leave a hideous scar on the belly. Therefore, being a mother was not easy. Rick wasn't good with words, but he knew how hard it was for Cece. "It doesn't hurt. Maybe the anesthetic from the painkiller pump hasn't worn off yet, so I'm fine. Cece smiled. Cece smiled. She felt much more energetic after giving birth. Then she suddenly thought of something and said, "Give me your phone. I want to post it on my moments." "Oh, it's bad for your eyes. I'm just playing for a while. I'll put it down once I'm done." "No, why don't you tell me and I'll post it for you?" Rick was very careful to protect Cece because Cece's mother said that Chinese women should not be careless during their confinement period. He had to be carefully nursed for an entire month. If not, there would be a lot of complications in the future. Rick had really taken this matter to heart, so he was much stricter with Cece. Seeing Rick's tough attitude, Cece stopped being stubborn. All right. Then help me send it." "Did you take a picture of the baby just now?" "Yes." "And send out a photo and write, 'My daughter 6 pounds 8 tails. Mother and daughter are safe.' Is it over?" "Rick, what's with that expression?" "It's okay, I'll send it now." Chin Chu picked up Cece's phone. "Honey, don't forget to take a picture of our daughter." Cece reminded him. "She's so young. Does she need a picture?" Rick didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Of course. I want our little princess to be beautiful from a young age." At this moment, Cece suddenly thought of something. If only Sister Mion's child was still alive. Maybe she would have given birth to it with me. Then our daughter could marry their son. Chapter 42:25. Chin Chu was here and just left. He's not in a good mood. Don't mention it in front of them. You're just rubbing salt into their wounds. I know. I won't say it in front of them. I'm just complaining to you. Yeah. Although Chu didn't say it, he must be feeling terrible. The couple felt especially heavy when they talked about Chin Chu and Huomian. At this moment, the door opened and Cece's mother walked in with the baby in her arms. Cece's sister and father followed behind her. The three of them took a lot of things. "Xian, go and get the baby some milk." "How much?" "The doctor said 30 milliliters is enough." "Do you have water?" "Dad, didn't I ask you to boil water?" Nia Lingxian was inexperienced and was flustered. "I've already boiled the water. It's always at the same temperature. You can just use it." Cece's mother walked to the ward with the baby in her arms. "Mom, let me see her." Cece couldn't help but want to take another look. "You can see her every day. There will be plenty of opportunities. The most important thing for you now is to rest well." Cece's mother cared about her daughter and kept telling her to rest. "But I'm not sleepy. I'm tired. Let me see my daughter." Cece's mother walked up to Cece with the baby in her arms. "Is she asleep?" Cece asked in a small voice. "Yeah, she's a good girl. She just cried and fell asleep. She didn't cry in the shower just now." Cece's mother couldn't bear to let go of the baby. "By the way, have you named the baby?" Cece's father asked this question. Cece looked at Rick. "You tell her," Rick said slowly. "The baby's English name is Kristen, but we also want to give her a Chinese name. She'll have the same surname as her mother, Nia." Hearing this, Cece's family was stunned. Cece's father was obviously flattered. "It's great that she has the same surname as us." Nia Lingxian smiled. "Dad, say something. Are you happy?" Cece stuck out her tongue playfully. "I'm so happy. It's our blessing to have our granddaughter share our surname." Cece's father grinned. Rick continued, "I heard that in the north, there's a custom about naming. If the parent's name is 3 characters, the child's name should be 2 characters. Yes, there is such a saying. My name is Nia Tao. I have 2 daughters, one is Nia Lingxian and the other is Nia Lingxi." In order to prove this statement, Cece's father even used himself as an example, which was extremely cute. Rick smiled and said, "That's why I'm planning to give our child the surname Nieg. Have you decided what to call it?" Nia Lingxian asked eagerly. Lying on the bed, Cece said proudly, "Rick gave me this bright mission. We've already decided that if we have a boy, we'll call him Niechin, and if we have a daughter, we'll call her Niejin." Cece's sister was stunned. "Yes, it's from our Chinese idiom. A fine day like a brocade," Cece said proudly. "Wow, it's so nice. I'm satisfied." Cece's father laughed heartily. "Our Cece didn't study for nothing. She's good." Cece's mother was full of praise. Nia Lingxian said with a smile, "Sister, it seems that for this good name, you should have a second child. You must have a son named Enchanting. You're thinking too much. I don't want another one for now. 10 months of pregnancy is too hard. Mom, did you suffer like this when you gave birth to me and my sister? Cece leaned her head against her mother's chest coquettishly. In our era, medicine wasn't as advanced as now, and we didn't eat as well as you. When you were born, you both weighed more than 1.5 kilograms. I thought you couldn't survive. Cece's mother was touched when she recalled the past. Honey, her name is Little Enchanting. What's her nickname? Cece looked at Rick. Dad, you can come up with a nickname for the child. Rick respected the elders and handed the task to his father-in-law. Chapter 42-26. Hearing Rick's words, his father-in-law was pleasantly surprised. Is this okay? Dad, since they've asked you to give them a name, why don't you give them a name? Cece's father smiled honestly. When I lived in the countryside with your grandparents, I often heard people say that it's easier to raise a child with a casual nickname. Are you going to call her something like Tsuehua, Winter Sweet, or Little Sweet Potato? Nia Lingxian had already begun to imagine. Cece, Rick, that's impossible. Why would I give my granddaughter such a terrible name? Cece just said that the child's official name is Nia Jean. Then I'll give her a nickname, Little Jean. Dad, you can't give her that name. You're obviously being opportunistic. Nia Lingxian looked at her father with a smile, thinking that he was extremely cute at this moment. Sis, don't make things difficult for Dad. Okay, I think it's really nice. What do you think, Rick? Yes, I like it too. Rick nodded. Thus, the little girl's name was decided just like that. Rick was extremely excited. He took out his phone and posted on his WeChat moments. He wanted to show off, but he thought about it. He was a mafia boss. It was inappropriate to show off so openly. After all, he had many enemies. In order to protect Cece and her mother, it was better to keep a low profile. Moreover, he didn't have many friends on WeChat. It seemed that only Chin Chu was on his WeChat moments. If he posted it, wouldn't it hurt Chin Chu again? However, Rick was really excited. He even excitedly called his confidants in the United States and even the cook at home. He said to everyone he met, my daughter Nia Jean Christine weighs more than 6 kilograms. She's a little cutie. This was probably the most high-profile moment in Rick's life. He suddenly understood why Chin Chu, such a cold person, became a slave to his daughters when he met the twins. It turned out that after becoming a father and having a daughter, the whole world was really bright. Rick was so happy that he couldn't sleep all night. In the latter half of the night when Cece fell asleep, his eyes were still shining. Then he picked up his phone and called Chin Chu. Fortunately, Chin Chu was still awake. Ever since he returned from Yunnan, his insomnia seemed to have relapsed. Especially after knowing so much about the truth, he could hardly sleep. So the two men were chatting on the phone in the middle of the night. At first they only talked about the children. Later, when Rick wanted to talk about something important, Chin Chu was afraid that someone was eavesdropping, so he directly interrupted him. Then she drove to Southside to look for him. It was already 2:30 at night. When Chin Chu came, he brought a lot of beer and snacks. Do you want to have a drink with me? Rick laughed. Yes. You are happy today. Congratulations on becoming a father. Chin Chu's expression didn't change at all. Well, since you said so, then I won't be polite. Let's go to the rooftop to drink? Rick pointed to the rooftop. No, it's too cold there. Let's go, I'll take you somewhere. Chin Chu walked in the front and Rick followed behind him. Chin Chu seemed to be very familiar with the roads at Southside. They came from the middle of the OB/GYN ward building. When they arrived at the neurology building at the end of the 5th floor, they arrived at a very cozy office door. Chin Chu stopped and took out the key he prepared in advance. He opened the door and walked in. A sense of familiarity rose in his heart. Rick froze for a moment, then he realized something. This is Huamin's office? Chapter 42-27. Chin Chu nodded and placed the things on the table. He sat down in the chair that Huamin often used. Rick pulled up a chair and sat across from Chin Chu. Huamin had left Southside long ago, so technically speaking, this office didn't belong to her anymore. But this office didn't seem to have changed at all. After Huamin left, no one came to work here. Everyone seemed to be waiting for Director Hua to come back. Chin Chu got the key from somewhere and sneaked in with Rick in the middle of the night. Let's do this, okay? It'll be bad if someone finds out. Rick was quite worried that such an embarrassing situation would happen. Don't worry. This place is mine now. What do you mean? Rick was puzzled. Yeah. I bought South Side. Rick, why did you buy it? Rick was confused. Chin Chu didn't lack money and had businesses in all kinds of industries. Why did he buy a hospital? Yeah. I was going to give it to Mion. Fine. You're rich. You can do whatever you want. Rick laughed in anger. Chin Chu was rarely impulsive, but when he did, ordinary people couldn't understand his impulsiveness. Call her now and tell her. She'll be happy. Rick didn't know that Huamin had been swapped and Chin Chu didn't say much. No rush. By the way, how's the investigation going? Do you have any news about Lu Yen? Chin Chu changed the topic and asked about Lu Yen. Not yet. Rumors are spreading that Lu Yen is dead and Qiao Fei took her place. After Qiao Fei took her place, he stopped taking orders and stopped taking any business. No one knows what he's doing in Lu Yan's nest. I heard that Qiao Fei's father was furious and thought his son betrayed the family. He won't let Qiao Fei return home. But people also say that the Qiao family doesn't have much to gain from the inheritance. Lu Yen is the big cake that can be squandered for the rest of her life. Qiao Fei doesn't care about that. What he cares about is whether Yen can come back safely. Chin Chu knew Qiao Fei better. Although they had only met a few times, he trusted his own judgment. I don't think a man like Lu Yen would be so short-sighted and despicable. I just hope that we can get news of little Yen as soon as possible. I need her, Chin Chu said. Have you contacted your father-in-law? Rick suddenly asked him. Chin Chu shook his head. Have you chosen a name for your daughter? Yes, Nyejin, English name, Kristen. Nyejin. Good name. You came up with it? Chin Chu looked at Rick. No, how could I be at this level? Cece gave it to me. Yes, it's very nice. Don't think about it. I know you're sad. Rick didn't know how to comfort people, so he didn't know what to say. Okay, let's not talk about it. Come on, let's drink. Just like that, the two men ran to the office of the neurology director at Southside, which was Huamin's old room. Chin Chu didn't buy a lot of alcohol, but maybe because he was in a bad mood he was a little tipsy after 4 or 5 bottles. Rick was also a little dizzy. Cece woke up in the middle of the night and didn't see Rick, so she called him. So he left. After Rick left, Chin Chu lay on Huamin's desk and fell asleep. Then he had a strange dream. Chapter 42-28. In his dream he saw Huamian come back. She was wearing a white lab coat and black-rimmed glasses. Her hair was short like the year when he first came back to China. She was holding a little boy's hand. Good boy, call me daddy. The little boy looked at Chin Chu and called him daddy. Is this our child? He's still here, right? Man, he's not dead. Excited, Chin Chu reached out to touch the child's face. But the moment he touched it, the child disappeared. Then Huamin's face disappeared as well. Mion. Chin Chu woke up from his dream and looked around. He was still in his office and there were empty wine bottles on the table. No one had appeared. Everything was just a dream. Chin Chu stood up and wiped the tears from the corners of his eyes. Then he lowered his head and began to clean up the place, making it clean and tidy. If Huamian came back and knew she could go back to work, she would be pleasantly surprised. The next morning, after Shin Mingxi went to work, Wei Ying took Tian Tian to Wei Liao's house. Wei Liao went to the company early. It was the weekend, so Jiang Xiaowei and the child got up late. When Wei Ying arrived, they hadn't had breakfast yet. Here. Sis-in-law, I'm here for breakfast. Wei Ying smiled. You're welcome. Come on, Tian, call me Auntie. Hello, Auntie. Tiantian's mouth was covered in honey. Jiang Xiaowei was stunned for a moment when she saw that the child had come as well. Then she smiled immediately. Tian, you're here. I made children's sausages for Yunchu. It's delicious. Try it. Hey. Thank you, Auntie. Sis-in-law, where's my nephew? Wei Ying looked around but didn't see Wei Yunchu. He's taking a shower upstairs. He's taking a shower so early in the morning. Yeah. He takes a shower and washes his hair every weekend. He's very clean, better than your second brother. Jiang Xiaowei busied herself. The maids also started to clean up. Wei Liao's house was decorated in a typical American style. It wasn't as luxurious, but it was very romantic. It was Jiang Xiaowei's favorite style. Wei Ying also liked this place and came here often. Especially after her relationship with second brother had improved, she would bring Shin Mingxi over for dinner from time to time. After a while breakfast was ready. Jiang Xiaowei was about to go upstairs to call her son. She saw Wei Yunchu coming down from upstairs. He was only wearing a blue children's bathrobe. His hair didn't seem to be completely dry. He was still standing up looking cool. Well, my little nephew is so handsome today. Wei Ying stood up and ran up to Wei Yunchu, hugging him in her arms. "Aunt, why are you here so early today?" "I'm freeloading off your breakfast." Wei Ying chuckled. "Yes, our breakfast is indeed sumptuous. You are very wise." "Haha, you little brat. You seem to have gotten heavier." Wei Ying liked Wei Yunchu as much as Qin Ning liked the twins. She treated him as her own child from the bottom of her heart. Her eyes were full of love and affection. At this moment Wei Yunchu noticed that there was another guest in the house. He glanced at Tian. Wei Ying immediately introduced her. "Yunchu, Tian is on vacation and doesn't have any playmates. You two can play together more often. Auntie will be happy." Wei Yunchu didn't speak. Instead he turned his head and glanced at Jiang Xiaowei. "Mom, can we eat now? I'm so hungry." Chapter 42-29. "Hey, it's ready. Come on, let's sit down." Jiang Xiaowei had been busy the whole morning, preparing a lot of delicious food with the help of the maid. Wei Ying knew she could have a delicious breakfast, so she woke up in the morning. She drove Tian here. Wei Ying and Tian sat on the right while Jiang Xiaowei and Wei Yunchu sat on the left. On the table was a dazzling variety of breakfast dishes, both Chinese and Western. Jiang Xiaowei stuck out a grilled sausage with a fork and put it on Tian's plate. "Come on, try my cooking." "Thank you, Auntie. Looks super delicious. Can I take a picture and post it on my WeChat moments?" Tian looked obedient. In fact, Jiang Xiaowei didn't like the child because she was afraid of her mother. Tian had experienced so much at such a young age and was so attentive to Wei Ying. She would grow up to be a scheming bitch. But Jiang Xiaowei liked Wei Ying. After all, Wei Ying was her sister-in-law. She loved Wei Yunchu very much, so for Wei Ying's sake, Jiang Xiaowei accepted the child on the surface. "Take a picture." "Thank you, Auntie." Tian took a picture with her cell phone. Wei Yunchu glanced at her cell phone and then at his aunt. "Her cell phone is the latest model. Did you buy it for her, Auntie?" "Why? Do you want it too?" "No. I'm just asking. Tian's phone was broken when she was in school. I bought her a new one. This model is new, so I don't really know how to use it. But Tian said that the resolution is good. Big nephew, Auntie will buy you a new one later." "I don't want it. Mine is good." After saying that, Wei Yunchu lowered his head and ate without saying a word. "Sister-in-law, do you have any plans today? If not, can we go to the hot springs in the suburbs?" "Not today. Yunchu has to go to South Hill Manor. He promised to hang out with Pudding and Little Bean. Buyin seems to be going too." "I see." Wei Ying looked troubled. "Mom, Wei Ying, it's okay. We'll play with Yunchu another day. Today we can go to the hot spring and post pictures of Dad." "All right." Wei Ying thought Tian was very sensible and knew how to read the mood of an adult. Why didn't Wei Ying ask her sister-in-law to go to South Hill Manor? He knew about the grudge between Hui Yan and Hu Min. Also, he heard that the twins had been kidnapped once and it was more or less related to Tian. Therefore, in order not to embarrass her child, she did not take the initiative to say that she wanted to join in the fun. After dinner, Wei Yunchu video called Pudding. "Wei Yunchu, Pudding, I've had breakfast. I'll be there in a bit. Do you want to buy some dog food for your golden retriever?" Pudding, "No, my daddy bought a lot for it. It can't even finish it." Wei Yunchu, "Is there anything else you need? My mom and I will be passing by Dogwang department store." Pudding, "No, we have everything at home. Come with us. We'll have hot pot for lunch. My grandparents prepared a lot of fresh ingredients for us." Wei Yunchu, "Great. It's a happy day to eat hot pot in this cold weather." They were chatting happily when, suddenly Tian walked out from behind Wei Yunchu. "Yunchu, do you want a lollipop? I brought it back from the capital. It's a brand we don't have here. It's delicious." Seeing Tian behind Wei Yunchu, Pudding's expression changed subtly. Chapter 42:30. I don't want it. Wei Yunchu turned his head and refused coldly. It's really delicious. Try it, Brother Yunchu. The way she called him Brother Yunchu melted his bones. Was she doing it on purpose? I don't want it. By the way, I'm in the middle of a video call. Can you stay away from me? Wei Yunchu turned his head and looked at Tiandun. Sorry to disturb you. Looking aggrieved, Tian left the screen. When Wei Yunchu turned his head, he saw Pudding had hung up the phone. Helpless, he sent a WeChat message to explain. Wei Yunchu, Pudding, don't you know how to do business? Pudding, why is she in your house? It's early in the morning. Wei Yunchu, my auntie brought her here for breakfast. Pudding, okay. Wei Yunchu, I don't know her well. Pudding, no. She called you Brother Yunchu? Pudding looked like she didn't believe it. Wei Yunchu, she's always like that. She talks to everyone in a coquettish voice, including my mom. Pudding, then she's really something. Wei Yunchu, so let's not be mad at her, okay? Pudding, I don't want to be mad at her. See you later. Wei Yunchu, see you later. Seeing that Pudding didn't take it to heart, Wei Yunchu heaved a sigh of relief. But he hated his auntie's daughter. He didn't like this type of girl at all. After breakfast, Wei Ying drove Tian to a hot spring in the suburbs. Jiang Xiaowei took her son to South Hill Manor. On the way, the mother and son talked in a strange way. Wei Yunchu, Mom. Jiang Xiaowei, what? Wei Yunchu, what do you think of my auntie? Jiang Xiaowei, what do you mean? Wei Yunchu, her IQ and EQ. Jiang Xiaowei, she's average. Very average. Wei Yunchu, why do I think her IQ is low? Jiang Xiaowei, son, why do you say that? Wei Yunchu, don't you think the kid she brought here is very scheming? Jiang Xiaowei, I think so. What? You noticed it too? Wei Yunchu, it's obvious that Zhang is a super green tea bitch when she grows up. I don't know why auntie is so obsessed with her. Jiang Xiaowei, obviously your aunt had no choice but to accept the child for your uncle's sake. You can't blame her for that. Wei Yunchu, Uncle, why are you raising someone else's child? If you have money to spend, you can donate it to the orphanage. Jiang Xiaowei, that's their private matter. We can't interfere. What's wrong? Did Tian offend you? You seem to be targeting her? Wei Yunchu, no, I just don't have a good impression of her. I don't like her. I can't bring myself to like her at all. Jiang Xiaowei, you don't seem to like anyone else other than Pudding. Wei Yunchu blushed slightly. Mom, focus on driving. Safety first, Wei Yunchu said in a formal tone. Jiang Xiaowei, Huamin wasn't home, so Jiang Xiaowei left after dropping the kid off. Coincidentally, when she came out, she bumped into Zhu Lingling, who was also dropping Buyun off. When they bumped into each other, they hit it off and went shopping together. Zhu Lingling's eyes lit up the moment she heard the word shopping. So they drove to the most famous luxury mall in the city. Zhu Lingling had left the house in a hurry this morning, so she only wore a sweater from an unknown brand and casual pants that she had bought from a Taobao store. It was precisely because of this unfashionable outfit that she was deeply despised by the salesgirls of luxury goods. At the Chanel bag counter, Zhu Lingling saw a new design and couldn't help but touch it. The salesgirl behind her quickly picked up a small towel and wiped the bag that Zhu Lingling had touched. Chapter 42:31. When Zhu Lingling touched another bag, the saleswoman hurriedly continued to wipe the other one. In short, she would wipe whichever bag Zhu Lingling touched. Her face was cold and she didn't have any enthusiasm for customers. Actually, this was normal. The saleswomen of these luxury stores were very snobbish. They would size up the customers who came to buy things. They would receive them warmly when they saw that they were dressed in designer clothes. They would look cold when they saw that they were dressed ordinarily. After all, they couldn't afford it. Hey, I say, Jiang Xiaowei couldn't stand it anymore and wanted to teach the saleswoman a lesson. However, Zhu Lingling stopped her. She smiled and continued to touch the third bag, then the fourth. Finally, Zhu Lingling turned around and smiled at the salesgirl. Sorry to trouble you, Miss Salesgirl. Please wrap up all the bags that I touched just now. What? The woman thought that she had heard wrongly, so she asked again. Zhu Lingling was still smiling. You might understand better if I put it this way. Wrap up all the bags that you wiped just now. I want them all. The saleswoman turned around and glanced at the places that she had just wiped. There were at least 7 bags. Mom, do you want 7? Yes. Do you want me to wrap them all up now? Yes, but I have a request, Zhu Lingling said. Please go ahead. The saleswoman was a little excited. Even though there were many rich people in this city, not many people would buy 7 bags at once. This was a huge order. It's these bags. Before you wrap them up, you have to wipe them properly. I see that you like to wipe bags. Zhu Lingling's words made the saleswoman's face turn red and she felt a little ashamed. She had looked down on Zhu Lingling and thought that she was a housewife who only looked and didn't buy. Therefore, not only was her attitude bad, but she also wiped whatever Zhu Lingling touched. This kind of behavior was discriminatory. Therefore, when Zhu Lingling retaliated, she was indeed speechless. Why aren't you saying anything? Is there a problem? If you don't agree, I might not buy it. No, I promise, madam. Don't worry, I'll help you wipe it down. Very good. Go ahead. Zhu Lingling bought 7 bags of different sizes from Chanel in one go, totaling up to 420,000 yuan. This was a very high fee. It should be known that Gao Rant's monthly salary was not much. Of course, Zhu Lingling didn't rely on her husband's salary. Zhu Lingling had been doing it all the time. Even taking care of the children didn't affect either of them. Moreover, Gao Rant's family was well off. When they got married, the Gao family had bought the car and the house for them. When Zhu Lingling gave birth to Gao Buyun, her parents were very happy. In their joy, Zhu Lingling's mother-in-law bought 8 storefronts at once as a gift for her daughter-in-law. Therefore, Huamin once said to Zhu Lingling with a smile, "You're a landlady. You don't have to worry about food and clothing for the rest of your life. You can rent out 8 storefronts and you'll get more than 100,000 yuan a month." Therefore, although Zhu Lingling wasn't as rich as Jiang Shaowei and Huamin, she still had a lot of money. However, it was more than enough to buy 7 Chanel bags in one go. Even after they walked out of the store, Jiang Shaowei still felt that her anger had been vented. "Ah, Lingling, you were so awesome. I'm impressed by your methods. These snobs need to be taught a lesson. They think they're better than others by selling luxury goods. So Mr. Zhu, what are we going to do now? Are you going to treat me to a big meal?" Jiang Shaowei laughed. "How about we go to the first hospital? We'll pack up and have lunch with Mian," Zhu Lingling suggested. Chapter 42-32. No problem, let's go. Jiang Shaowei also thought this was a great idea. In order to make Huamin happy, the two of them went to a seafood restaurant. After packing a lot of fresh seafood, the two of them drove to the first hospital. Maybe it was because of the rumors, but there weren't many people in the first hospital. The two of them went straight to Huamin's room. When they opened the door, they were slightly surprised. Huamin wasn't in the room. Where did he go? The two of them looked around the room. "Are you looking for me?" A cold voice came from behind them. The two of them turned around and saw Huamin in a hospital gown. It was strange that Huamin had put on makeup and it was very delicate. He didn't look like a patient at all. If he wasn't wearing a hospital gown, would he be a model on a runway show? Jiang Shaowei and Zhu Lingling turned around at the same time. When they saw Huamin's delicate makeup, they were a little dazed. Huamin wasn't good at makeup, so what was going on? "Damn, where did you go? I thought you were discharged. You scared me." Zhu Lingling ran over and punched Huamin. This kind of little fight between best friends was normal, but Zhu Lingling saw disgust in Huamin's eyes. "I wonder if it's just a misconception? I'm going out to get some fresh air." She didn't look very enthusiastic when she saw her two best friends. After saying this, she walked directly into the room. "I went shopping with Lingling. That spendthrift woman bought 7 Chanel bags in one go. Haha, Director Gao is going to retire from this job." Jiang Shaowei jokingly told her about her experience at the mall today. Zhu Lingling also thought of something. She took out one of them and handed it to Huamin. "This is for you. Think of it as a gift for your hospitalization. I bought a lot and I can't use them all." On the way here, Zhu Lingling picked one for Jiang Shaowei. Although they weren't short of money, Zhu Lingling's kindness was heartwarming. She had a good eye for beauty. Although she had bought the bags in a fit of pique, they were all beautiful. Especially for Jiang Shaowei, it suited her temperament very well. Zhu Lingling thought that Huamin would be happy to accept the gift. After all, Ever since she married Qin Chu, she rarely received gifts from Zhu Lingling since she was not short of money. However, Huamin only glanced at the bag and said indifferently, "This style has been available in France since half a year ago. It's not considered a new style, right?" Zhu Lingling felt slightly awkward when she heard Huamin's words. However, she still smiled. "Yeah, it's always been like this in China. After all, it's not the country of origin. I don't think this color suits me. You can put it away. I don't need a bag right now." Huamin didn't look like he was joking, but he rejected Zhu Lingling's kindness so easily. This not only made Zhu Lingling feel bad, it also made Jiang Shaowei feel very awkward. They didn't know what was wrong with Huamin. Jiang Shaowei quickly tried to smooth things over. "Mian, we came specially to have lunch with you. Hurry up and eat, we're starving." Yeah. We've been shopping all morning and haven't eaten anything." Zhu Lingling and Jiang Shaowei opened the packed seafood one by one. They placed it on the coffee table in the ward and then sat around the sofa. "Seafood?" Huamin frowned slightly. "Yeah, your favorite. Are you surprised?" Zhu Lingling lowered her head and smiled as she opened the packaging. "Don't you think the seafood stinks? It smells weird?" Huamin asked them. Chapter 42-33. After Huamin said that, the two of them were dumbfounded. Jiang Shaowei and Zhu Lingling looked at each other, completely dumbfounded. It was true that Layla hated seafood. It was because she grew up in that damned place and came into contact with too many seafood. However, Huamin liked seafood. Therefore, her reaction was a little too extreme. She turned around and remembered that Huamin liked seafood. Therefore, she quickly filled in the gap. "I used to love seafood, but this time, after this incident, my taste has changed. It's said that a woman's taste will change when she gives birth. Although I only induced labor, I changed a lot of my preferences. Mr. Qin can testify to that. So, sisters, you heard me right. I don't like seafood anymore." "It's true. If I had known, I wouldn't have bought it. I didn't expect you to not like seafood anymore." Obviously, Zhu Lingling believed her and felt a little regretful. "It's okay. Let's order something else or go to the hospital's cafeteria," Jiang Shaowei suggested. "Forget it, you two don't have to busy yourselves. You two can have a bite." "I'm not hungry, so I won't eat." Zhu Lingling, Jiang Shaowei, "I'm a little tired. I want to sleep." "Then, we'll come and see you later, Mian." Huamin said that he was tired and chased Zhu Lingling and Jiang Shaowei out. The two of them had nowhere to go with a bag of seafood. They could only find an empty seat in the hospital's cafeteria and sit down. Then they ate the packed food. That way it wouldn't be a waste. In the hospital cafeteria. "Mian, you're acting weird today. Something's wrong." Jiang Shaowei looked worried. "I know what's going on," Zhu Lingling said mysteriously. "You know?" Jiang Shaowei looked up in surprise. "Yeah, look at this." Zhu Lingling picked up her phone and opened her WeChat moments to show Jiang Shaowei a post. It was the happy news of Cici giving birth. "We didn't even know that Cici had given birth. We'll go check it out later." "Sorry, that's not the point. The point is Cici gave birth, but Mian had a miscarriage. They were actually pregnant at about the same time. If Mian didn't have a miscarriage, that child would have been born soon." "So you're saying?" Jiang Shaowei began to understand what Zhu Lingling meant. "Yeah, I think Mian must have been traumatized. She can't get over it, especially after Cici gave birth. Look at how weird she was today. She didn't want to eat seafood and didn't want to talk to us. That baby was Mian's heart. She carried it for so long. No one would be able to take it if they lost it all of a sudden. She's been focusing on her health these days, but the hurt in her heart isn't something that can be healed so quickly." "Yes, Lingling, you're right. Mian is also a pitiful person. As best friends, let's be more considerate. After all, times have changed." "Yes." Zhu Lingling and Jiang Shaowei didn't think too much about it. It happened at the same time as Cici's birth. They naively thought that Huamin was just in a bad mood and was traumatized. Of course, they didn't know that Huamin was no longer their good friend Huamin. On the other side of the earth, inside the underwater palace, Huamin looked at the man in the crystal coffin in shock. "Huasiqian, with one word from you, I can bring him back to life. He won't die. He'll still be Huasiqian, the man who's willing to go through fire and water for you." Lin Ye's voice was irresistible. Chapter 42-34. This condition was too tempting for Huamin. Because Huasiqian died for her, Huamin had always been sad. If there was a chance to resurrect him, then Huamin seemed to have seen the man who liked to wear pink suits, call Mian sister, and smile with crescent-shaped eyes. If he was still alive, if he could continue to live, Huamin didn't dare to think about it. This was a really extravagant wish. Finally, Huamin's brain gradually cooled down and returned to its original calmness and wit. She looked at Huasiqian in the crystal coffin and then at Linya. So, he's also a clone, right? That's right. My cloning technology is already very mature. As long as there's something from the original body, whether it's blood, cells, or even a hair, I can restore it. It's just that the degree of restoration is different. The more important something is, the closer it will be to the original body. Huasiqian had been with Layla for so long, so we have all the things on him. Can be said that once we clone Huasiqian, it will be exactly the same as the original body. Another advantage is that he will be Huasiqian. He won't have a split personality or the part of Jack. Huamin was silent. Mian, you should know how Huasiqian's split personality came about, right? Linya asked her this question. It's related to his childhood experience. In fact, Huamin had studied it deeply with Jiang Shaowei. Jiang Shaowei was a psychologist and a very authoritative psychologist. Therefore, her analysis was very well-founded. Basically, people with split personalities had been strongly stimulated and subconsciously avoided it, resulting in such terrible consequences. The gentle and elegant Huasiqian split into a sadistic Jack. Without a doubt, it was caused by Jiang Hong, Huasiqian's adoptive mother. That woman had been married for many years, but she didn't give birth to a child for Hu Jinghai. Therefore, she adopted a son from her biological sister. However, Jiang Hong didn't treat this son well. Instead, she vented her dissatisfaction with life and resentment towards Hu Jinghai on the child. At such a young age, his body couldn't withstand the abuse of his adoptive mother. Therefore, his personality gradually split, creating a demon that could go against the world. Huamin knew all this. It was precisely because of this that even though Huasiqian had done many evil things, Hu couldn't hate him. There was a time when Huasiqian was in prison. Huamian had been wondering if she should kill him. If he didn't kill Huasiqian with his personality, he would never live his life in prison again. He would definitely have other methods or join forces with Ian Nolo to do more hateful things. If he killed him, Huamin would feel uneasy. After all, he was so good to her. In the end, Huamin still killed him. However, at that time, Huasiqian was rescued by Layla's people. Her thoughts slowly returned to her. Linya nodded. That's right. Actually, this child is quite pitiful. Now he's good to you. I think he's much more loyal to you than your husband. As long as you're willing, as long as you nod, I can immediately clone him. You can treat him as the original owner, because he'll have all of Huasiqian's memories, and he'll love you as deeply as before. Are you willing? What's your condition? Huamin slowly asked. Chapter 42-35. Condition? Child, you're thinking too much. You're my daughter. Just treat it as a gift from your mother. It's not a condition. As long as you agree, I can help you realize it. Things that you can't even dream of in this lifetime. I can even clone the dead for you. Hearing this, Huamin suddenly thought of Uncle Jing. So, you also clone Jingda? You mean 002? Of course. 002? Huamin was confused. 002 is the code name I gave him. I had someone take a blood sample from Jingda's medical records and reconstruct it. After Linya admitted it, Huamin finally understood why he couldn't figure out why Jingda had the same genes as Uncle Jing. He and Jixin were father and son, so he couldn't figure out what was going on. Now it seemed that the truth was out. Jingda was cloned from Uncle Jing's own blood sample. No wonder it was perfect. Then what's your purpose? Why did you do it? Was it fun? Huamin looked at Linya coldly and questioned her. Of course, I'm not doing it for fun. I just want to see what kind of reaction my test subject will have when it enters the market. Not bad, he's even more flexible than the original host. Unfortunately, he's already been killed by your man. Huamin was slightly surprised. Yeah. He was tortured to death by your man. So, Mian, the man you love is just a beast in disguise. Then Linya waved her hand and the crystal coffin on the wall disappeared without a trace. It was replaced by the image of Qin Chu torturing Jingda to death. She couldn't hear what they were saying. However, she saw the movements clearly. Qin Chu killed Jingda and burned his body. After watching the video, Linya thought Huamin would be disappointed and pained, unable to accept Qin Chu's cruelty. But after watching it, she smiled. She smiled calmly. Mion, did you see his face? You're wrong. He recognized that your 002 is a monster, so he did that. I'm afraid he already saw through Layla's identity and knew that I was switched. That's absolutely impossible. Don't even think about it. Layla has been in there for more than half a month. What are you thinking? Are you trying to hypnotize yourself that nothing happened between Layla and your man? How is that possible? A man and a woman alone in a room. Besides, Layla has the same face as you. Linya was certain that Layla would settle Qin Chu and sleep on the same bed, so she kept provoking Huamin with words. Alright, we'll do whatever you say. Huamin was too lazy to argue with Linya, but Huamin knew that with Qin Chu's character he wouldn't do it easily. If he did it to Jingda, it could only mean that he had discovered a secret. Maybe Qin Chu already knew that there was an imposter at home. At this thought, Huamin was thrilled. Mion, trust me. I'm willing to do anything for you, then let me go and get rid of that psycho Layla. I'll take you as my mother. Huamin was smart enough to not be brainwashed by Linya after such a long time. You're in such a hurry to go back. What's the point of staying with a group of mortals in that home? You're a genius. You're my daughter. So, it's glorious for me to conquer the world with you. Huamin's eyes were sharp. Chapter 4236. Mion, what's wrong with this place? You can make a lot of interesting people with me. At least I can bring the dead back to life. This is something that no one else can do, not even your father. Linya was obviously proud of her cloning technology. Dr. Linya, may I ask what's the normal lifespan of a human? Huamin asked a biological question. Linya didn't know why Huamian asked this question, but she still answered in a good-natured manner. Baby, that's not a problem for me. It's my strength. So far, the longest lifespan in the world has been certified by the Guinness World Records. It's a village woman in South Africa. Her name is Malik Timo. She was born in 1874 and died in 2008. Her lifespan was 134 years. Huamin nodded. I am very good. That means that the limit of a human's lifespan is 134 years. And you, Dr. Linya, you're delusional enough to keep cloning after a person dies. Isn't this a great technology? Linya was a little excited. In my opinion, this is an invention that goes against humanity and the heavens. The 6 paths of reincarnation and following the will of heaven is the right path. The natural world has its normal rules. We're just a species in nature, so are fish and birds. So, don't try to go against the heavens and change anything. You'll suffer retribution. My dear great Dr. Linya, when you made these successful experiments, did you find their fatal flaws? Huamin's words made Linya's expression change slightly. She didn't need to answer. Her expression told him. You don't have to say it, but I already know the answer. I advise you not to do too many things that go against the heavens. Really? From birth to death, everything should follow the rules of nature. Don't try to change anything. So, don't you want to save your friend Huasiqian? Do you want him to disappear from your memory forever? Do you want him to be a pile of human flesh in the end? Linya repeatedly provoked Huamin's weakness. He wanted to use Huasiqian to persuade Huamin. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, Dr. Linya, I don't need him to be resurrected. Strictly speaking, this isn't a resurrection. There will only be one real Huasiqian. He's dead, but I'll remember him in my heart. Even if you resurrect him now, he's just a substitute. No matter how similar he is, it's not the real him. I believe he doesn't want that either. He needs peace after death. I advise you not to create monsters that resurrect the dead. Huamin's words deeply shocked Linya. Huamin thought that Linya might fly into a rage after hearing what she said. But she didn't. She didn't say anything for a long time. Then he shouted, Messiah. My lord, please give your orders. I'm a little tired. Take her down. Yes. After Huamin left, Linya sat alone on the chair with her head in her hands, looking a little complicated. Not long after, Messiah returned to report. Linya pointed at the dumplings on the table. Cook the dumplings I made and send them to her. Yes, master. Messiah carefully picked up the dumplings on the table. Linya said in a low voice, Messiah, she is indeed a different child. She is indeed talented and smart, and she has a lot of ideas. She is someone who can do great things. Means that master has good genes. She's the most like me, isn't she? Linya smiled slightly. You're tuning in to the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.